Hello. So we are coming up to tax season and I am pretty much gonna barely hit the deadline this year because I have somehow managed to push back when I do this every single year for the past few years, and now it is uncomfortably close. I thought to prevent doing this in the future, I'd make a video to remind myself of how annoying it can be to do it last minute, and also help out some people who have never had to file a tax self-assessment before in the UK. This might feel like it speaks more closely to people like me who are in the creative media area or marketing or something like that, but really the rules apply to everybody. So I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to blur out all my numbers so you don't have a look at what my books looked like when I first started out. But if we just through every single column we have in this grid, we have a unique reference number, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes sequentially forever, so you know what item you're referring to whenever you put it into a certain document, or if someone's asking where's the receipt for XYZ, then you have the unique reference number. The date is the date that action took place in your account. This is my incoming, so this is the date that money paid into me. It doesn't matter if this is paid into like an online portal, like if you have affiliate links and you have royalties building up there, but you can't pay it out into your account until you hit a certain number. This is the day it goes into your account. You have a description, so that means what type of money it is. Was it a sale? Was it a type of loan that you had? Was it a grant? Something like that. And then the item is the more specific. So you had a sale from one person and they bought a photo shoot, for example. These different columns here, so think of column K as the total, that is the total amount paid into the account, and then you split it up based on payment method. So my payment methods were bank transfer, cash, check, debit card, and direct deposit, or a check that was cashed. I don't really take checks, but I feel like I had it there just in case. Now this works better when you take payment in split methods, so some people may pay cash and some partially by card, depending on how much cash they actually have on the day. So you have it split up in these different columns, and then the total amount paid there. And then after the total amount, you separate it again in a different medium, which is sales, loans, own money, refunds, and grants. So then you know how it can be classified for type of income purposes. Is it taxable income? Is it not? Now, I've always been really complimented on how my bookkeeping is laid out when I give it to my accountant, and every accountant I've spoken to said it's really well organized. I wish I could take credit for this, but this is how I was shown to do it when I got my startup loan through the Prince's Trust and did their Exploring Enterprise scheme. It's the King's Trust now, actually. But yeah, it's really simple and it's easy to follow. And this is for people who, like, personally, early on in my business, I didn't have that many transactions, and then also even now I don't have that many transactions because most of my payments come in as big bulk jobs, like it's a really expensive shoot, so I have less transactions. That's going to be changing soon now that I've started taking in payments from like small amounts from my online shop, and sort of royalty payments are stacking up a bit more, so it gets a bit more tedious. That would be when you start transforming into like a software like Xero or something that just tracks it for you and does it all automatically. Obviously some people want to do that from the beginning, but it might not feel worth making that investment in the software early on in your business. This might be the last year I do this, optimistically. Now, my outgoings, we have again a unique reference number, the date that it leaves your account. The description is what sort of expense it was, so then your accountant can deduce if it was tax deductible, but specifically I just put who I sent the payment to, like Amazon UK. And then again, you split it up into bank transfer, cash, check, direct debit, and then the total column. And then again, you separate it out. I've added columns to this bit over time. It gets a bit more complicated because it needs to be classified for what type of expense it was. So I have equipment, and that could mean technically it's a software, or that could mean it's a piece of like camera equipment, for example. Travel, food, non-tax deductible. So if you've taken a client out for a drink and you want to like expense the alcohol, you can't really do that without it being an expense that you can't deduct from your profit. Because when people say, oh yeah, it's a business expense, that doesn't mean it's free. It means that it's removed from the profit margins, and then that final amount that you've profited is considered taxable income. So if you're trying to zero out and never make a profit in your business, great, but different things. Marketing expenses. So even though I am a marketer, I also have marketing expenses myself, and that could be apparel that I wear when I go on shoots, or it could be flyers or business cards, stuff like that. Insurance, any loan repayments, which I've not had to do for a while because my startup loan was paid off years ago. Contractors, so my accountant is a contractor, and then also people I would bring on shoots to be a mic operator while I'm managing the camera, for example, or a second shooter or something like that. Client requirements, so when people pay you a big lump sum for a project and then you have to go buy stuff in order to do that project, that's a client requirement. So it basically is something directly accounted for in that invoice, it goes out here. Location hire, legal, merchandise, because I have started creating my own products, bank fees, because before I changed to Monzo, I actually had a bank account that charged a fee to keep it up monthly, and there was a point in time where I had nothing in there, so I would get charged an overdraft fee when my bank fee came out and I was being forced to pay the bank for not having money to sit in the bank. So that was fun. I stopped that now. I got Monzo. I might get a referral link for the description. Who knows? And then that is everything. In addition to my bookkeeping tables, you would then have invoices that prove this is what a client paid you. It has their contact information, it has details of what the project was, it has terms of the agreement, basically like receipts that are paying into your business. And then also you separately have receipts that are paying out of your business, so expenses that you had to pay. Those are the invoices that you receive when you pay for a piece of equipment, some software, a contractor. That's stuff that you have to pay out, and it's evidence for it. Personally, I'm a bit weird, like, why would they believe it in the graph form and then not in the receipt form? Like, who's going to forge receipts? But no, I get it. You've got to track it some way. This is the way they've accepted. That's how the system works. Then also, because I have self-employment and I've had employed jobs too, I have a lot of gig work, agency work, and then I also, like, sometimes have employers, just normally, when I feel like I need to prove more income to my letting agents. Then I have my payslips for my non-self-employed work, because they sort of compile all together, especially when you're in an employed and self-employed situation. You always end up with emergency tax codes because the business you're working with never knows how to account for you. So I might get a refund, who knows? I got a refund last year. Then if you have to accept any benefits, you would have it. So I've got a universal credit folder here. I've not had those for a while, but I keep my records. I've got records from my entire history of my business. So you're only legally required, I think, to keep it up to 3 years. But I've been going for about 8 years now, I think. Six or 8 years, I can't remember. Dates are weird. I think it's 8 years. What year are we in? 2025? I'll say 7 or 8 years. And I have my entire history backdated, so if they ever need anything ever, I'm good. But I had universal credit quite early on. Then you also have a folder for your business bank statements. I'm not going to show you my actual bank statements, but then you have the bank statements that you can export from Monzo really easily and save it directly to Google Drive, or you can email it to yourself or any way like that. I have personal accounts that have savings pots in Monzo, so it generates interest based on what you leave in there, and it pays out like monthly or weekly or whatever. So I always get my interest statements, because I believe interest is only tax deductible in certain types of accounts, which are non-ISAs, because it's the UK. We have ISAs that protect it, and then they have a threshold where if you don't hit that threshold, then you're good to just not pay tax on the interest, but if you go above the threshold, then you'll pay tax on the interest. And then my stocks and shares ISA, where I account for all my dividends and the interest I generate there, but because it's an ISA, it's all pretty much covered and it's tax-free, but I like to just have it there for posterity so my accountant's aware of my entire situation. I have a little note for my accountant explaining how some things are organized. I have an old credit report because I didn't really have anywhere else to put it, and I thought, like, I have a credit report, I'll leave it there for sake of it. And then previous year's self-assessments, and then when I go and do every New Year's tax return, I get the link for my Google Drive. I have a backed up hard copy as well, and actual receipts that were physical receipts instead of online invoices, although most of it is digital. I have like a little physical folder for all the real world stuff. You want as many copies as possible because you do have to keep records up to 3 years, and that is what I do. Hopefully this was helpful for you. If you want to see more creative digital marketing type stuff, then subscribe. I do this sort of stuff about running a business a little less frequently, but hopefully it was useful to my audience. Thank you very much. Leave your struggles in the comments. Have a nice day.